Good morning. Good morning. I'm so excited to be here this morning with a lady that I have spent actually very little time with, and yet Jocelyn has just impressed the socks off of me. If there's any, I'm going to tell you, if any of you think that you have a really busy life, well, think again, okay? Think again because I think this is one of the busiest, most purposeful women that I've ever met, and I'm so excited to have her on here. She's building out of a really adverse past. She's building an incredible future, not just for herself, not just for herself, but I believe for thousands of women besides. And it's probably appropriate that Jocelyn's in her car this morning because it seems like she's constantly on the move. All right, but I'm going to bring Jocelyn on, and we're moving. We're just going to move. Eileen, it's good to see you. And Beverly, God bless you. Here we go. What a story. What a story we have in store. So that's great. Jocelyn, good morning.
Good morning, Dave. How are you? Thank you for having me. Thank you so
Man,
much.
I have looked forward to this. Uh, I think I mean, since I first met you, and I want you to know you're one of my great heroes in life, and I can't wait to be a larger part of your vision. But we're going to share that vision with people today, and we're going to ask them to invest. I've never said that up front in any of the other interviews that we do, but I'm so excited. I've kind of caught the fever for your place. So we're going to go back. I want to start at the beginning though, and I just want you to tell us your story today. Like you can start all the way back from when you were, a child.
Yes. Um, well, what seems to be the normal now, um, which is really sad, but I came from a broken family. My dad was a severe alcoholic and drug addict, and my mom, she's a great mom. She's still a great mom, but she just loved her husband. And so, with that being said, I chose to live with my grandmother. Um, and she took me in and raised me. And at an early age, about 12, my mom and I and my father, we had an altercation. I ran away from home, and they were staying with us at the time. And so my uncle, which is my dad's brother, he was um, he was just a great godly man. And he took me in and said that he was going to raise me. He was going to give me a place to live and do the things that fathers are supposed to do with their daughters. And so I was real big into cheerleading and played basketball, and so he never missed a game. He never missed any of the important stuff. And
And that was
um,
your uncle.
that was my uncle. He stood
Okay.
about 6'7", 6'6", 6'7".
Whoa.
He looked like Abraham Lincoln. He was so handsome. He was dark headed. Drove an 18-wheeler and was a godly man, and you know, just he was great. And
Okay,
so,
I'm going to interrupt you for just a minute because a lot of the people that I'm dealing with here don't have a clue where you are. Did all of this happen in Northwest Alabama? You were
yes,
you were right there.
yes,
And
in Russellville.
okay, Russellville. Yeah, to us that's Russellville.
Yeah, my
You
husband
said,
says, "You say Russellville. It's
I know,
Russellville. It's Russellville."
Russellville, Alabama. And actually, I've been to your house before, and it's wonderful. But okay, I'm really interested. A beautiful part of the country, but not not particularly influent. What affluent and a lot of rural areas, beautiful areas there. So okay, so you're growing up in Northwest Alabama, and go ahead. This is great.
And so on October 3rd of 1995, the school that I attended, they homecoming, which like most schools it was just real big. And so my uncle was headed home from Orange, Texas to watch me cheer my homecoming ball game. And he never made it home.
Oh
He
my.
he died in on the way home to watch me cheer. And so that was really hard for me. So I was left with my aunt. Like I honestly have not been back to that house inside the home since the day that he passed. Like I was immediately took away
Ooh,
from the home, moved back in with my grandmother. It was really, really hard. And so even though like he was a very godly man, he was a Christian man, he was a godly man, but he was gone all the time. And so I would go to church some, but I wasn't really like my life wasn't invested in, I didn't have a relationship with the Lord. I wasn't saved. I wasn't baptized, none of that. So, but I was mad at God. Even though I didn't have any of that with him, I was mad at God. Like I didn't understand why he would take my uncle who, you know, took me in, wanted to raise me, but would leave my dad alive. That's how I was thinking. That's the only way I was thinking. And so I was mad. I was mad. I was broken. I was
wow.
hurt. And I immediately turned to drugs and alcohol. Um, as they say, pot is not the hard drug. But I started smoking pot and started
And how old
drinking.
were you? How
I
old
was
were you?
15.
15.
15.
Okay.
By the time I was 17, I had my first DUI. Um, and I look back now and then I tell people, I mean, I wasn't bad. I wasn't bad then. I just was trying to cover up the feelings that I had and not feel the hurt that was going on inside of me. I wasn't really doing anything like breaking into houses and all that at that moment. Um, but I knew that I needed someone in my life. I knew that I needed a father figure. Um, so I started looking for a man, and that's where I found my ex-husband. Um, I was 18. He was 10 years older than I was, and we dated a couple of years and got married, and uh, obviously was not where I was supposed to be in life. But we had like three miscarriages.
Oh my gosh.
So that
Yeah.
was the second time in life that I was dealing with loss. And again, I was mad at God. Like I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't understand why it was happening to me. Um, and the two of the miscarriages were really, really hard. Um, they wanted me to birth them. I mean, it was horrific. And, but then finally I had my baby girl. And after having her, I was like, I want a divorce. I wanted out. I wasn't supposed to be in that relationship anyway. Um, and then 4 years later, that's when I got pregnant with my little boy, who is 16 now. My daughter's fixing to be 20. My son he's 16. And so I was divorced, but their dad and I, we got pregnant again with my son. And so it was after having him that I went for a checkup. And after the checkup, they told me that I had cancerous cells and that I
Oh,
could, yes, and I could take care of that by having a surgery, or we could, there was two options I could have. If I had the one surgery, I wouldn't have any more kids. But as a young mom, divorced, I knew that I wanted a family one day. I knew that I wanted a husband, and I didn't dream of the white picket fences and all that, but I really wanted a life. I wanted a husband. I wanted, you know, possibly another child. And so I did what they, asked of me, and which is very unheard of. And I had 6 surgeries in a year and a half. And
Wow.
they were just laparoscopic. And I make that very clear. Like it wasn't just, but they were still surgeries. And so after every surgery, they would give me a script. And so that's when my life forever changed, was after after having the first surgery. And the script was just for painkillers, 10 milligrams, hydrocodone, and that's where my life spiraled out of control. I I couldn't take the medicine, and that's what people don't understand. Like I couldn't, and it's so easy to get addicted to pain medicine. I could not take the medicine. It made me severely sick. It made me sleepy. I couldn't take it, and that was you know good. And that's the way it does most people if you don't take medicine. Even though I drank alcohol prior to that season of life, I drank alcohol and I smoked pot. I've never taken pain pills. And so, but one day I took a half a pain pill, and that was it. Like I was addicted instantly. Like I love the way that pain pill made me feel. Um, by this time, my son was, you know, a year and a half, and here I was addicted to pain medicine. Like weeks went by, and then months went by, and then years went by, and I couldn't function without it. Um, I couldn't I couldn't get my kids ready for school. I couldn't iron their clothes. I couldn't go to work. I couldn't do anything unless I had a handful of pain pills. And I started buying them off the street. Then I started selling them. And before I knew it, I lost my job. And before I knew it, I was an IV user and shooting up 16 times a day. And then I was a thief. And then I was a liar. And then I didn't take care of my kids. And then I was a horrible sister. I was not dependable. Nobody knew who I was. I just become this broken, lost, addicted human being. And I didn't know if there was going to be any hope for me. Um, I would find myself breaking into storage buildings, just driving down the road with no license, um, many, many tickets. And, and I was tired. I was tired. I kept it together for a couple of years, functioning as they call it the functioning
Yeah.
addict. But on November 5th of 2012, I was homeless. Me and my kids, we lost our 2-story, 5-bedroom home. We lost my car. I didn't have anything but my kids, and I should have lost my kids. And we were at my ex-husband's house, and we were watching the news. Of course, I
And
was
who's
nodding
Mike
out.
now? Who's you were at whose house?
My ex-husband.
Oh, okay.
I
Okay.
didn't have anywhere to live, so we went to their dad's house because I
Okay.
had lost my home. And we were watching the news, and this really, really, really tired looking lady come on TV with dark circles under her eyes. And it was Franklin County's most wanted. They were looking for me. It was me they were
Oh
looking for.
God.
And of course I was sitting in the recliner and I was watching, and it was that moment. It was that very moment that I was tired. I was tired of being sick and tired of living that life. And I didn't know what it looked like. I didn't know what recovery looked like. I didn't know what sobriety looked like. I didn't know what my future looked like, but I knew from that moment on, I was never going to touch another drug again. Like I knew it. And I didn't know how it was going to happen. And so I called the local sheriff's office, and talked to the sheriff and asked him what I needed to do to make it right. And he said, just come turn yourself in. And
Now, can I interrupt you?
yes, 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 yes.
Is this where Terrell came in? Terrell Potter came into the story?
No,
No. Okay. All right.
no.
Okay.
So Terrell Potter, I had been.
Terrell Potter's a policeman, and just for the people here, Terrell Potter was a policeman that became connected in your story, was part of your story, and I've met him, and I'm sure we'll get to that. But this is unbelievable. I'm just go yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You're okay. So up until I turned myself in, I had been arrested on 16 felonies. Like I said, I was really, really, really broken, and I was a really bad person. There's no way to sugarcoat that. I was doing really bad things. I wasn't committing murder or anything like that. It very well could have led to that, but I was stealing and breaking into people's homes, and you know, and so there was a lot of arrest. And so Terrell Potter he arrested me on three of my last felonies. Um, so, anyways, I did what the sheriff told me to do. I went and turned myself in to the local sheriff's department, which they were looking for me. And but prior to going to jail, I had it all figured out. Like I had it figured out in my mind that I wasn't going to get high again. I was going to go to treatment, where I was going to go to treatment, how long I was going to stay at treatment. Like I had it all mapped out. Um, and that's just what we do as humans, who are, you know, just lost and broken. We've got everything figured out. And so I went and turned myself in, and it was really hard. Even though I'd been to jail like 17 times, like it was hard to go that last time. And nothing went as planned. Nothing that I just told you that I was going to do happened my way. But I went and turned myself in and spent 6 months in jail. I mean, I literally should have went to jail and just bonded out, but that is not the way it happened. Um, I spent Christmas and Thanksgiving and New Year's, and my daughter's first broke bone. I had to talk to her over the phone while she's crying. Like it was really, really, it was hard. And I know now that that's the way God wanted it. Um, but while I was in jail, there was a lady that would come to the county, and I used to tell her name, but she doesn't really want it told because she does not want glorified, no way. But she was the most amazing woman. For me to be sober, and I knew her like she was a teacher in school when I was in school. But I was so ashamed to, like, she would come and love on these women, these broken women in jail. I'm talking about these women stunk. They didn't have any teeth. They were broken. Some couple of them was in there for murder. Like it didn't matter what the case was. This woman loved on us. Mind you, I would not get off my bunk to go see this woman, even though she knew I was in there. I thought if she didn't see me, she didn't know I was in there. I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed to talk to her, but she would come in there week after week after week. And as I would sit on my bunk with the blanket covering me up, I realized that I wanted to grow up and be like her. Like that's how I thought, you know, she was not she was not scared. She was not ashamed to be in there with these women. She loved them. Like I watched her love on them. Um and and I'll just be honest, like I almost didn't want to get close to some of them women in there because I mean, months would go by and I was getting sober and I was like, almost thinking I was better than these women because I wasn't high and they were in there for murder or they were in there for armed robbery and attempted murder. And so, but as the time went on and I watched this lady love on these women, I was like, I want to be like her. Like, I want to have her heart. not knowing that it was real easy to do at that moment. But so after 6 months, I was bonded out and sent to treatment in Birmingham, Alabama. It was a 9-month treatment facility, and that's where my life forever changed. Was there. It wasn't the facility that changed my life, but it was there where the Lord and I we we got real tight, and I realized that it was His way or no way, and that my life was only gonna be, drastically changed if I was sold out to Him. And I did that. I did that after about 2.5 to 3 months of being there. I surrendered, and I mean, people say there's no way you can be instantly changed, and that is a lie, because I was instantly converted, instantly on fire for the Lord, and instantly like walked in making fun of a lady in a wheelchair and walked out and hugging her neck. And not because it was a show or because I wanted to, but because my heart was instantly changed. Um,
Wow. Wow.
and when I got saved, and I thought everything was just gonna. I thought, because I had a joy, like even though I was sober, like 7 or 8 months sober, walking around there, like I didn't have peace, or I didn't have joy until I literally surrendered my whole life, my eyes, my heart, my soul to Christ. And but I so when I thought, when that happened, that I was never going to want to get high again. That's how I thought, because I was radically changed right then. Instantly, radically, changed. So I thought, I'm never going to want to get high again. This is great. This is great. Days go by, weeks go by, life starts happening, and I want to get high. Like, I start thinking about what it would be like if I start thinking about how long I've been sober and how cheap it would be for me to get my next high. Like, that's the thought that would go through my head. Walking down the hall, or, you know, going to walk outside at that time to smoke, and I would be like, oh, it would only cost me like $5 just to get you high. Like, that's what the thought process that I had.
That's the
And
voice that was talking to you.
yes, yes. And so I started talking to the Lord. I wasn't really telling people about it, but I started talking to God, and I was like, if you're real, make sure my coffee don't fall. If you're real, and I'm really saved, and I'm really converted, and I'm really your child, and if I die right now, I'm going to heaven. If you're real, why do I want to get high? Why am I thinking about the price of getting high? And it really, really bothered me. It really affected my thought and my mind. And so instead of like talking to people about it, like, I just started praying, God, if you're real, I need you to take this. I don't want to get high anymore. Like, I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about the price of a pill. And I don't want the urge to do it. Can you please just, take it away from me? And He didn't do it instantly. It was several months, but He delivered me. He delivered me from
Wow.
from from the want. He delivered me from the thoughts. And I can tell you, it's been almost 11 years, and I don't say this lightly, but I have never, since the day I was delivered, I have never thought about getting high, ever. I've not thought about it, what it would be like to get high. I've not wondered what it would be like to buy it. When I tell you he delivered me. Um, And that's the most amazing thing ever, because I know that he can deliver everyone. He doesn't. I know he doesn't, but he can. And that's the most amazing thing to be able to share, because I couldn't have done it on my own. It's not anything nobody can get sober and stay sober on their own. It's the only way to do it is through Christ. I mean, you can get sober, but you're not going you will fall. You will fall unless you have Christ in your heart and you're walking it out, or you're going to fall. And I believe that. I believe
Yes.
that with my whole heart. And so I get ready to graduate the program, and the Lord speaks to me as I'm leaving, and he tells me, "You're going to run a program one day." I didn't know what that looked like. Like, you're going to run a program. Everyone couldn't believe I was coming back to my hometown. They couldn't believe that I was coming back, and I caught all these charges here, and I had nothing to come back to. I mean, I had my kids, but like, I didn't have no home. I didn't have a car. I didn't have a job. All I had was 2 black garbage bags, and my mom picked me up. But I was going back home to her to live in her little bungalow and be still. That's what I was going to do. I couldn't drive for a year. I couldn't get any license for a year. And so for a year, that's where I grew in Christ. Like, literally, like, my faith,
That was your job.
that was
That
my
was
job.
your occupation for a year.
For 365 days, I could not drive a car. I couldn't do anything. I could sit at home. I could get in the car with my mom, but that's about all I could do. And so after about a couple of months, I was, being still, and I'm not a be
Can't
still kind of,
imagine you being still.
no, I'm not a be still kind of person. Like, I'm real antsy, real high strung. Um, and so I cried out to God one day, and I was like, how are you going to use me? Like, how are you going to use this girl who can't drive, who don't have a car, don't have any license, got 2 kids, don't have a dollar to my name? How are you going to use me, Lord? And so, like, I would just start reading, and even today, I'm not this person. I don't get up and preach God's word. I tell my story, and I have a story, and I have a testimony, but I don't understand the whole Bible. I understand that we have a Lord, and he saved me, and I'm supposed to go out into the world. But I would read his word every day, even though I didn't understand it. And even today, I read his word, and I don't understand it all. I may not ever understand it, but I try. And I was trying to read, and I was trying to understand how he was going to use me. So I started praying when I would get up every morning. God, put somebody before me. That's all I need to do. That's all I need to do. That's all I knew to say, was put somebody before me, Lord. And it wasn't the very next day. The very next day is when all of this really started. Um, I was at Walmart, and he put a girl before me, and it was that like, it was that easy. I was like, Lord, I should have been asking this a long time ago. I wouldn't. I could have been started on what you have called for me to do. Um, but that was about 2,564 women ago. That was 2,564 women that's the number that the Lord has allowed me to help over the course of about 10 years. Um, and it hasn't always been at Walmart. The Lord has given me the strength and the energy to help these women, to meet them where they're at, to meet them in the ditch, to meet them at the dope house, to meet them at the jails, to go to the prisons, to go into their houses, to go in. I mean, no matter where they're at, I'm willing and able to meet them. Um, and I couldn't have done this with the old heart that I couldn't have done this. This is all God. The only reason I'm allowed to do this today is because of God. Um, he's allowed me to work. Up until 3 years ago, I worked 60 and 70 hours a week, sometimes 76. He gave me the energy and the strength to work that many hours to pay for these women to go to treatment. And I don't mean that I just take them to treatment and drop them off. That's not what he's called me to do. Some people are called to just go drop them off at the front door, but that's not what I was called to do. Um, I love on them. I get them what they need. Um, I walk the journey with them. If they allow me, I talk with them weekly. I go to court with them. I went to court with many, many, many women. Um, if they need their kids back, I try to help them fight for their kids. If they don't need their kids back, I go to the courts and say they're not ready for their kids. And I'm not anybody. I'm just a willing vessel wanting to help another soul because no one helped me. And I want to be very clear about that. Not one person reached out to help me. And I was I was known. I mean, I done some bad things, and prior to becoming an addict, like everybody knew who I was. None of these people, none of these Christians, none of these churches, no one offered to help me. And I didn't want to be that person. I knew that the Lord was making a way for me to change the world one soul at a time. And I didn't come up with that. The Lord gave me that. That's a slogan that I've had for years. He gave me the name for the rehab that was going to potentially be open, which is the Place of Grace. Um, and that's been a lot of years ago, a lot. Um, so over the years of working that many hours, and as a single mom, I was a single mom. I never lost my kids. They have a dad, and their dad is and was active in their life, but they lived with me. Um, and so I started getting tired, like really tired. Um,
I can't
and
imagine.
I know. And so, coffee and energy drinks was my best friend. And it was like in August of 2019, my grandmother calls me. Now, mind you, the grandmother that raised me, she calls me and tells me she's going to move from California and live with me. Now, this is August. And I was like, well, come on. I mean, it's just, I can put you in my kitchen. And, like I always say, I didn't know what the Lord was doing at this moment in my life. Um, but I said, Mama, I need you to come, and I just need you to not come on August 8th. I just need you to not be here on that day, Mama. And the reason that I didn't need her to be here on that day is because I had a huge fundraiser for the Place of Grace. And it was going to be in Russellville at this Lost Lake. It was going to be big. We had bands, we had raffles, and it was the very first big fundraiser. This was not, we had done small fundraisers, but this was supposed to be big. I just don't need you to fly in on that day. Lo and behold, she flew in on that day. And so I was like, Lord, what have you got in store for me? Like I told her not to be here. Well, how have you allowed this to happen? And I just knew it was going to be a catastrophe. I was not being positive at all. And moved the kitchen table out. And this was like on August, I think it was August 8th. And so from August to November, I was drained. Like, mind you, she was in the onsets of Alzheimer's and dementia. And I was just tired. I was tired. I got home one night. By this time it was like November of 2019. And I was just like a walking zombie. I'd came in, it was like 12:30 that night. My grandma, she slept in the kitchen. I told her I loved her. I was going to lay down. I was real tired. My kids were already in the bed, and I started scrolling through Facebook like that was going to make me better. And I'm just laying on the bed and I'm scrolling through Facebook and I see this post. It's about this long. I don't know if y'all can see my hands, but it's about this long. And I don't know what the post said. I have to this day, I've never went back and read it. I don't know what it said. But all that my eyes was able to see out of that post is that my dad is going to die if he doesn't receive a kidney. And the Lord spoke to me right then. I don't know if y'all have ever had the Lord speak to y'all. And he told me that I had that man's kidney. And I threw my hands up and I threw my phone down and I said, Lord, I don't got time for another soul. I don't got time to help anybody else, God. I don't have the energy to help anybody else. And I don't know if I was very clear, but the Lord told me that I had a man's kidney. I had a mama. It was like 80, 79 at the time. Yeah, 79, 80. I had 2 kids upstairs. I had 2 full-time jobs and a part-time job. And I was tired. So I threw my phone down and I told the Lord, I said, okay, Lord, you got 72 hours to tell me again that I got this man's kidney. I need you to give me a song, give me a verse, give me scripture, give me a human to tell me, to clarify that that this is what I'm hearing. And I mean, like I literally was talking to God just like that. And so 72 hours went by. I fasted and I prayed and I fasted and I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. And I didn't have nothing on Friday morning. All I had was love thy neighbor. I said, okay, God, I hear you. Picked up my phone and I Facebook messaged this daughter that made the post. And I just told her, I said, you know, it was not long and it was not in depth. I just told her, I said, I just want to let you know that I have your dad's kidney and I need to know what I got to do. And she sends me back a message and says, so many people has tested and I really appreciate you reaching out, but you got to do this, you got to do that. And so I sent her another message and I'm like, okay, Lord, I'm giving her one more time. I'm not doing this. That's kind of what I was thinking. And so I messaged her back and I said, okay, I'm just going to be real clear with you. I don't know if you read my message clearly. Like that's what it said. But I have your dad's kidney and I need to know what I got to do to get this taken care of. And so that was like, I don't know, November 9th, maybe, and November 10th. And so I did what I was supposed to do. I went and got all the blood work. Mind you, I'm scared to death of needles. Even though I was IV user, I'm terrified, like want to pass out at the thought of a needle. Um, it was it was the easiest process, and it was that I have been through. I'm talking about hundreds of vials of blood drawn. Um, we were a perfect match. This man and I, they called me on December 5th. It wasn't even, a month, and told me that my dad and I were a perfect match. And I just laughed at him and said, I told the girl,
I'm sorry. Well, I'm sorry. You keep saying my dad. It's this other girl's dad, right? There's no
yes,
biological relationship. Yeah.
no, no. The match was so perfect. The match was so perfect that the donor, the living kidney donor transplant, um, the lady from the living kidney donor
The
transplant center,
technician.
hmm
Yeah. The
um,
technician.
she thought that he was my father because we were so perfect. That the blood and the match was so perfect. She's like, you and your father are a perfect match. And I just busted out laughing and I was like, he is not my father. And she's like, what? He's not your father? I said, no. And So the Lord opened up the door at that very moment for me to, you know, and I wasn't even thinking about it like that. Like I wasn't even thinking until I had time to process everything because everything happened so fast that every time I spoke to a human being from the transplant team, like I was able to share a story of what God can do and who He is. Um, because that's the only reason He organized all this, anyways, so He could
And,
be.
and really, your only relationship with him before was that he had arrested you 3 times,
Yes.
and 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 was you said no one stepped forth to help you, but he was nice to you. Am I
Yes.
correct?
So, the man who got the kidney, which was Turl, he only lived 2 miles from me, and he still only lives 2 miles from me. Um, and he arrested me on my last 3 felonies, but he was very nice to me. He was very kind. Um, from what I can remember, I was always impaired when he arrested me. But yeah, so the Lord allowed an an addict, a recovering addict. He restored everything on the inside of me. I mean, so I could save another man's life. The man who put me in jail. Um,
And I've talked with Terrell before, and he was saying that there was a real concern because of your past that the kidney would be damaged, but he
mhm.
said that that was another miracle because even though you'd had all this time as an addict, that your kidney was perfectly healthy.
Yes, they wasn't even, no one at the transplant center would have known that I was an addict in the past had we not told them the story. Like the lady taking the blood, she kind of seemed like a mark on my arm, and um, I had to tell them, they couldn't get the blood from that vein because I was an ex addict, and they were like, "And you're given a kidney," and so that opens the door for there was all. I mean, I bet I was able to talk about the Lord 3 or 4 times a day at the doctor. I mean, and it was many trips to Vanderbilt. It was just beautiful. And I mean, it was just like you was just, it's like the Lord just put you there because he wanted to get all the glory, and he did. I mean, and he does. Um, but it was beautiful because there's no telling how many lost people was able to hear this story. Um,
Well, yeah, not only that, but I read about it in the New Orleans paper.
mhm.
Like, I read about it, and I believe Terrell said that the story that y'all were interviewed by like 12 or 16 news offices, even over, I mean, 12 or 16 outside the country.
Yes.
So you've
30
got,
countries, 30. 30 countries. I didn't even know there was 30 countries. I'm being honest. I mean, I don't know much about nothing when it comes to it, but 30 countries has covered this story. 30.
yeah.
I mean, it's absurd. And even today, like I get messages even today, like at least once or twice a week, I get messages from people from Guidepost that is still reading the story. It's been a year and a half, I think, since it actually hit Guidepost. It's still impacting people today. Like,
I think it was so good because that came at a time when, uh, you know, uh, the whole country was turning against police.
yes, definitely, definitely.
Yeah. And here's this former addict donating her kidney to the policeman that arrested her on felony charges. It was a great
Yes.
story. But you know what? I mean, we could go over, but we've got about, 15 minutes left. I wanted to, and I want to give you a little time down toward the end just to share with that whatever you want. But tell us about the place of grace. By the way, you have a beautiful website. I had not gone
Thank
on
you.
that before, but you have a beautiful website, and I'm excited about it. But where are you in this process? Your 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 dream, like I want to share this. In the one time that I came in, twice now I've been in your house. The first time I came, we were sitting there just talking, and I was so glad to be there. Your phone rings, and you pick it up, and there's a pastor on the other end, has a woman in need. You're working with five, I believe, five separate rehab centers, and you just assured them, okay, I'll take care of her. I'll find a place for her. We're going to help this woman, like no questions asked. And when you got off the phone, I it's like I'm watching you do that, and I asked you, like, does this go on all the time? How many women have you done this for? And I think at the time it was, I don't know, like 1980 some odd. Now you're saying it's 24.
2,564.
Yeah. And I was blown away. That's clearly your heart. It's clearly your ministry. But the place of grace is another step now. And I want you to tell us, use the time that we have to tell us about that.
I have honestly operated out of a car. Like, I have operated out of a car all these years. I knew the Lord knew He was going to provide a building, but it's like, I can't wait on a building. Like, these people need help now. And, so what we have done, the Lord has allowed, He has put people before me to help me. Um, and over the course of since 2018, 2000, I've been doing this since 2013, but 2018 is when I actually become a nonprofit. Um, the Lord just put the right people before me to help me do that. We have a board now. Um, we have since 2018.
Okay, I'm going to stop you for a minute. I think that's extremely important because people that don't know you, that are going to sit down and watch this, they're thinking, okay, this lady's a convicted felon. She's served time in jail. She's got a long history of addiction, and she's launching this program, and it certainly appears to be worthwhile. But what kind of accountability does she have in her life to make sure this thing, if God forbid you were to ever to fall back, and I don't have, there's not a doubt in my mind, okay, but I know that's a question, and so you have the board of directors.
Yes, one being the sheriff of the town that it's in. We have um, pastor's wife. We have people that say we're jail ministry. We have a sheriff on our board. I mean, like, we have a great group of board members. But like,
Yeah.
we have fundraised since 2018. And we've done some pretty amazing fundraisers. Like, we give away a brand new car. We've give away $25,000. Um, like, we have we have monthly donors, we have monthly committed donors, we have people that I mean, call every week wanting to donate. Like, the community has been so good to us, but we want to reach outside the community because it's going to take a group of believers. We need Christ followers, godly people who, we're all called to love the broken. And even if it's $5 a month, you're helping love the broken. That's the way I look at it. Um, but to date, we have paid $217,000. And I make a joke about this, but it's like, after I give the kidney away, I mean, the floodgates just busted open. I'm telling you, the Lord, me and Tara laugh about it all the time. I'm like, if I knew it was gonna happen this fast, I'd give that kidney a long time ago. But after I donated the kidney to Turl, I mean, the blessings just came, and they're coming, and they're coming. We've had 5 acres of land donated in Hackleburg, Alabama, which is about
It's
20 minutes.
a
It
beautiful
is
place.
20 minutes from where we live, and the building has been built. It's 6,000 square feet. It will house 25 women, potentially 100 women, but we're only going to start out for the first couple of years 25, and it may, but that's how many it can house. It's right behind the community church of Hackleburg. Um, the town is so excited about this. The church is so excited. The church we attend and are members of, Pleasant Hill, they're so excited. They cannot wait to love on these women. And I tell you, that is where it starts. Like it starts with us. Like it starts with us. And so the building's built. They are putting the walls up in the next couple of weeks. They've been measured for last week. Um,
Gosh,
and it's just
that's
happening so fast. It's going to take, I think, $116,000 a year to operate. Um, and we will be operating solely on donations. Um, our goal is to have that amount of money in the bank to operate on for 1 year, so we're not having to worry about fundraising. I know when the building's up, the money is not going to be an issue. Um, but you never know when, because here's the crazy thing: addiction does not discriminate. It don't matter if you. It don't matter if you're saved. It don't matter if you're lost and going to hell. It don't matter if you're black, white, Hispanic. It don't. It does not care who you are or where you're going in life.
yeah.
Addiction does not care. And the sad thing is, it affects everybody. I mean, Dave may not have no one who is addicted to in his life or in his family, but we are all paying for what these people are doing who are hooked on drugs. Like
Right.
it's affecting our lives. It's affecting we can't even go to the grocery store. I mean, you don't know if you're going to get mugged. And I'm telling you, like, that is my goal, is to help change the world one soul at a time. And the Lord has allowed me to do this. And he has given me a wonderful husband to walk alongside of me to help me, because I thought I was going to be single the rest of my life. I didn't know that the Lord was going to send me someone. And although I wanted someone, and so he sent me a husband to help me, and you know, it's just it's so beautiful. And
I think I know. I think I know the answer to this question. But do you draw a salary out of the place of grace?
no, I can you hold on one second? I need you to go inside, please. I told my son I was doing this interview, and he's just standing at the window looking at me.
That's Jackson. Is that right?
That's Chance.
Chance. Yeah.
Um, but anyways, up until we applied for a grant last year, and I have not made a penny off the place of grace. I Up until last year, we applied for a grant, and the only way you could apply for that grant is if you drew a is if there was like one payroll check. And so I get a check cut to me every since we applied for that grant, and it's $430 a month. Um, but we have an accountant, and he does all of our, he's wonderful, and he has done it since 2018 for free. Um, until we recently started painting this year. It's
Wow.
just beautiful. But I work a full time job. I make that very clear. I think some people think, but I work full time at a college. I've been there for almost 7 years, and will be there until the rehab is open. But there's so many ways to sow into this ministry. It doesn't just have to be financially. Um, I don't know who's listening or who's going to listen, but there's people are mailing books wanting us to, do a class on this book and do a class on that book. And I mean, I'm like, yes, we need that. I mean, and they're mailed from, hundreds and thousands of miles away. And um, lives are going to be changed here through Christ. And it's not I make it very clear it's not just about getting sober, but it's about planting the seed to further the kingdom of God. We're not opening this rehab just so we can have some sober women walking around. We're opening the rehab so they can learn life skills, and so we can we can help plant the seeds so people are dying and going to heaven and not
Yeah.
hell. Like that is what it's all about. Because I was headed to hell real fast, real fast. And I know today that when I die, that I'm going to bust them gates wide open. And that's what I want to see I want to see every addict transformed. And I believe there's hope for everyone. I don't know that I've ever said there's no hope for her.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are a lot of people would have looked at you and said, "There's no hope for you."
Yes.
I have this image of your face coming up on the television screen as the most wanted.
Yeah.
In that we have parishes in Louisiana, but that county in Alabama. So, um, okay. So first, people want to know more. There's the website that you have, which is the Place of Grace, and it's in Russellville, like Russellville. So it's in Russellville, and I want to encourage everybody to to look up the website. It's a great website. Find out more, and I want to encourage people to support this vision. Support this vision. Jocelyn has gone about this in a selfless and entirely appropriate way, and I believe I've already invested a little, and I want to do a lot more. So I'll be up there I'm actually going to be there the first week of June, and so I hope to go out and see your place. Um, if anybody wants to donate through our ministry, I'll carry it. I'll carry it to you directly.
Thank you.
And but it's good. I just want to tell you that you're a hero to me. I mean, you really are.
Thank you.
Um, I'm very proud to know you. And I know we're about out of time, but I'm going to step off the screen. You can take a few minutes to tell people whatever's on your heart. Okay. And then I'll come back on again in about 5 minutes.
Okay. Do I
All
need
right.
to hang up or no?
No, you just stay right here.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
And then I'll come on and we'll sign off together. All right.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Um, I just want to thank anyone who's watching. I know this is probably unprofessional sitting in my car, but I'm trying to get away from my son. If anyone, if anyone's watching and you know anyone who needs help, you know anyone who is struggling with addiction, um, it doesn't have to be a woman. It can be a man or a woman. My husband, he helps with the men, but it doesn't matter where you're at. It doesn't matter how far away you are. Have a, we don't just help one county or one city. Um, but reach out for us to help. We, we don't say we won't help like we want to help you. Like we want to help your loved one. If you know someone who's struggling with addiction or you need to have an intervention. I help people do interventions all the time. If you just have questions on how you can go about it, my phone is never turned off. Call me. And my phone number is not, it's not a secret, and it's very public, and it's 256-668-5390. Um, this is a calling on my life. This is a passion that the Lord has placed in my heart and in my soul. And then that's to just love the broken. Um, you know, and if you're struggling with what you need to do to help in your community, or just ask God. Because listen, let me make this very clear, and it's really blunt. But if you are doing something to help somebody because you don't have anything else to do, or because it's convenient for you at the time, you're just trying to you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Because I want to tell you something. Anytime I help someone, anytime I do something that is going to glorify God, it is a huge inconvenience. Huge, huge inconvenience. So you keep that in mind, that if you're helping someone because you have nothing else to do or because it's very convenient, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Y'all, we've got to glorify God, and we've got to be inconvenienced on a daily basis. Um, I love you all so much. If I can pray for any of your loved ones or anyone who is lost and bound by the sin of addiction, don't hesitate to reach out, because this is why I'm alive. This is why I'm alive. And I'm very thankful and very grateful.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Give your phone number one more time slowly in case people want to
Yes,
write it down.
it is 256-668-5390.
There you go.
Yes.
That's about as slow as you get. Jocelyn, I'm really hoping we can get a meal or something together. I'll
Yes.
cook. I'll cook. We'll have you come down up to Muscle Shoals to Jerry and Sandra's, and
Yes.
we'll work that out before I get up there. Hopefully, you and your husband will be able to come together, and we'll see how that works. Sandra's and Jerry are both on here right now, so I'm just inviting you to their house.
I can't wait, Sandra and Jerry.
So God bless you here, and thank you, Father. Bless this woman, bless this work. Continue, Father, pour out your blessings. I keep thinking, like, this is there should be a whole lot more in terms of provision.
Yes.
There should be a whole lot more in terms of um, larger people who are able to give more, just pouring into this program, and we want to see it just be a raging success, a tremendous success. And thank you, Jocelyn, for
Thank
the
you.
time. It's been great. Okay, we're gonna call it quits. But again, thank you so much, and
Thank you for having me, allowing me
uh,
to share.
I'm really looking forward to shared time. So thanks. And tell Chance, I'm sorry I forgot his name.
It's okay.
Last time I was there, I took Chance a fishing pole. So maybe I can get some time and go fishing with him one more.
You
We'll
know,
see.
they don't want to listen. I said, I've got to go outside and do this interview. And I said, just wait, don't even open the door. He done put his all A medal on, and he was just standing there looking at me.
Wow, that's great though.
That's what
All
kids
right.
do.
That's
Yeah,
great.
he did.
Amen. All right. All right. God bless you and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
All right. Bye bye.